On your knees!
If they take me in, then it's the end for me. And for you.
Down!
Just do what he says.
Do not let them take us. We'll never find the lifeboat. Think about Emily.
Just relax.
Leo!
Shut up!
Quantum Break is a 2016 story-focused third-person action shooter developed by Remedy Entertainment. The same Remedy that recently released the second Alan Wake game, Control.
They thought I'd never find this place.
Max Payne.
Birthdays are like regrets.
And of course, this classic masterpiece.
Growing fracture leading to the end of time.
Now, the main focus of the story for Quantum Break is the manipulation of time, which is conceptually a really interesting and cool idea. The execution, though, is a different story. Featuring a surprisingly well-known list of actors in both live action and performance capture sequences, such as Jesse Faden,
And there goes the poster.
Iceman, Sharon,
How good to see you again so soon, Mr. Wick.
Mary,
My friends have gone to battle.
and of course, Littlefinger.
Chaos is a ladder.
This interactive experience sets out to tell the story of a couple brothers caught in a time-jumping conspiracy.
Gotta get us back to the time where you came from. No, future. No. It's the only way.
We need to stop the fracture here, in this time. Now.
As I played through, I realized that the music was probably not my favorite part. However, I did realize that unfortunately, due to copyright, I ended up disabling the original music, so I can't comment on how much more that may have improved the game. Now, the musical score I did end up hearing though was honestly pretty decent, and unlike most games had more of a synth or electronic type vibe, which makes it pretty unique in my opinion. I also felt like it fit better considering the game's science and tech themes too. This bit, for example, felt pretty cool, especially during combat sequences. Another example here. Moving on, although it's not something most people would notice, I think the sound design is actually really well done. All the effects and abilities, all the enemy cues and weapon sounds just fits nicely together and ensure the player knows what's happening without being too distracting. Like something about the way the audio effects sound that just works so well in conjunction with the movement and the gameplay and the graphics to enhance the whole experience.
What's wrong?
Toto. That's my signature.
You made this?
I've never even been here before.
When it comes to the art style, Quantum Break has really managed to hold up quite well considering its age. The thing I appreciate most is that Remedy really went hard with their vision, and that's always something I love because the level of commitment and conviction shows that they have that trust in themselves and their own vision. Like, when you think about it, how else does one translate time freezing, time jumping, and speeding up or slowing down visually?
He has superpowers.
The graphics are also pretty good for the most part. Each of the different sections of the game had a certain level of detail that honestly impresses me. One thing I didn't really appreciate was that it got almost too flashy. Like, I found it pretty distracting, and to me it felt like the whole game would have been fine without the oversaturation of effects. Also, it is now 2023, and this game is about 7 years old at this point, but I experienced a few random bugs here and there. Like, somehow a black bubble sort of just appeared and it kept growing and growing until it swallowed up everything. I tried restarting from the last checkpoint, which didn't work. Then I tried quitting to the main menu, and that failed, so I had to restart the whole game. I mean, it's not a huge issue, but it shouldn't happen at this point, right?
Burke was just the tip of the iceberg. It wasn't just Joyce that did this.
Sir? We've recovered Dr. Emerald's laptop. We have it set up over there if you want to take a look.
I'll be right there.
Okay, so this is a big one. First off, I thought I should just mention that the acting for the most part is good. I mean, they're proper actors, so it's expected. Not all of them are well known though, and I think it kind of shows.
Reclaim to take full responsibility for everything that's happening. Signed sincerely, your local terrorist, Jack Joyce. You can say it.
It's pretty awesome.
The performance capture sections all feel like they've been done well because it's mainly the bigger names anyway, but the whole thing feels kind of awkward in my opinion. Like, the ideas presented with choice and time travel aren't new ideas, though in video game format they should make for a pretty interesting package. I mean, it's nothing we haven't really seen before, I think, but being a Remedy game means it can get pretty out there. And obviously being developed by this studio, the game carries with itself a pretty cool, creepy, Remedy-esque vibe, though not as atmospheric as the likes of Control.
They'll try to stop me, but I'm stronger than them.
The thing is, the story itself is told in both gameplay, CG cutscenes, and live action segments. It's not often this happens in games, and usually it's a mixed bag. Quantum Break to me, unfortunately, really doesn't differentiate itself too much from those other games though. Like, you can tell they had a pretty hefty budget for this game, but when they segment off the live action from the in-game CG and gameplay part, the story feels janky and disjointed. Like, I thought it'd be a quick 5-minute live action portion to tie things together, but it worked out to be full-on 20-25 minute long videos, and that really just took me out of it. Look, all things considered, they weren't bad. I mean, when you focus on them and they get going, it gets pretty interesting, but then they just sort of end and it feels like it lacks cohesion. And what's worse is that they stream the video live from, I think, Microsoft's own servers, which isn't great, but the videos keep buffering and you can't actually even watch it properly. And even if you manage to sit through it, the quality is inconsistent. Like, I kept finding the new episodes to be very low quality versus the shorter previously on recap sections. I ended up just YouTubing everything.
If he really has located the machine, why would he come here and tell you? Smart Money says he's trying to play you.
Maybe, but the machine is out there. It's in our interest to find out where. If Jack knows, I have to talk to him.
I think the only saving grace out of this is that there's a definite level of detail in the narrative, and the whole concept of meaningful choices, although subtle, is present.
I've seen where this leads.
I can't say how certain I am about it myself, but I've been led to believe that there are what's been called quantum ripples throughout each of the acts that, when interacted with, will impact the live action episodes.
I was over in the lab at the university this morning. Someone solved the equation. Huh?
Each one apparently expanding and adding more context to the story, which is a pretty impressive and interesting tidbit, but it's not necessarily something that kept me engaged, especially since I wasn't fully aware of when and which were being added. There's also a huge, and I mean absolutely humongous, amount of written narrative and exposition that further fleshes out the story, even from the first level. One example of these is this short little comedic bit, like this one that reminded me of The Office's Michael Scarn screenplay. There's also more serious ones like this detailed email chain of characters interacting that really serves to illustrate motivations and thoughts. On top of that, there's also little audio clips and video shorts that really shows the level of detail Remedy commits to. There really is a lot there if you're the type of gamer who likes to really dive into the meat of the narrative and immerse yourself fully. But for me, it's definitely not the best part. The best part is definitely the combat. Look, the weapon variety isn't exactly huge, and I did start to stick with my favorites for the bulk of my playthrough, but they were fun to try out. The abilities though are pretty cool. From the start, it pretty much throws you straight into the action and gives you quite a few abilities early on. Now granted, the game doesn't really give you anything else new from there, but what is present is enough to keep you engaged, especially when you learn to use it properly. It's not perfect, but the feeling of dashing and dodging around, or creating shields to protect yourself, or freezing your enemies and then stacking your attacks, or even simply blowing them up, all just feels really satisfying. Which, of course, took me a bit to get. I guess that's because I'm not very good, but that's okay. Now, one thing that annoyed me was the field of view and like the camera positioning or angle. Like, I'm not sure why the camera is set up so close to the player character, it just feels clunky and awkward. I think this has to be the worst positioning I've ever experienced in all the games I've played. I just feel sort of uncomfortable, but this is just a minor gripe, I guess. Moving on though, when it comes to the gameplay outside of that, I feel like it kind of has really good ideas, but it doesn't fully utilize them. Like, you have these sections where you can rewind the time of the environment to help you traverse the world. Like, I think this is really cool, but they're few and far between. This could have been a really cool mechanic to help create an assortment of puzzles, but I guess Remedy isn't that kind of company. And I suppose it would probably take quite a large chunk of the team's resources to create each one, which may not have had the same payout.
We should get ready. We don't have much time.
All in all, I feel like this game is more of an interesting concept than a traditional game. It's got some really cool ideas, and Remedy is not a company that shies away from a tough challenge, which this game definitely was. Look, I wouldn't say they nailed it, but I feel like few developers would have been able to afford this story the same respect, and for that I think Remedy did a really good job. If you're more of an eclectic or unconventional gamer, or just really enjoy the Remedy-verse style of games like Alan Wake or Control, then I think Quantum Break is worth experiencing in 2023. If you've managed to sit through this whole video, thank you so much for watching. I'm still looking to upload a brand new video once a fortnight, but be sure to let me know what else you'd like to see in the comments. Thanks again for watching. Hopefully, I'll catch you in the next one.